Good morning. Well, welcome to the capital markets breakout session. So yes, capital markets. Well, we got a good intro this morning. Seems the keynote was heavily loaded with capital markets, so it was amazing to be able to see S&P up here. It was great to see Coinbase talking about some of the stuff that they're doing, and of course, just hearing from some industry leaders about what's going on. And so we were front loaded a little bit with capital markets. So today, I'm excited to be here. I'm Brian Casson. I lead market development with the folks in capital markets and data at AWS. I've been here for about 7 years. And during that time, I've spent a lot of time with, I see a lot of you in the audience, a lot of the customers, helping them as they think about how do I transform on the cloud? How do I innovate? How do I renovate old products and make them new again? So today, we're going to talk a little bit about something that's near and dear to my heart, a little bit on modernizing the trade lifecycle. And when I started here, a lot of what you heard Magnus talk about from NASDAQ about how things are migrating now to being able to do trading in the cloud wasn't really there, right? And all of a sudden, we're now at this space where we can start to do a lot of very, very interesting things in the cloud, specifically as it comes to pre-trade, at trade, post-trade. And I'm lucky enough today to be able to have three industry vets with me, and we're going to have a discussion a little bit about how we're modernizing trade lifecycle. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up some of my my panelists here. So if Mark Murphy from NASDAQ, we have John Foley from Fidelity, and Tim Whiteley from Australian Stock Exchange. ASX. So thank you guys. I've seen a lot of you guys this week, so it's always great to have you guys on stage and be able to educate the audience about what's going on. So I actually I prepared a few questions, so we're going to go through and hear from you because it's always about what's going on with you guys. So I think the first thing, could we just do down the line, do an introduction of you, your role at your firm, a little bit about your firm, and a little bit about how you're working with AWS. I think that would be good to kick off for the audience so everyone get a little flavor. So we'll start, Mark. We'll go down the line this way.
Great. Well, thank you for having me. Mark Murphy. I work at NASDAQ in our FinTech division. And really what that is all about is providing critical market and banking and financial services software. One of the really exciting things about NASDAQ and what we do is that we use the products that we sell. So, early on at NASDAQ, I worked in sort of running the markets day to day, experiencing the pain points and the problems that, any exchange might have. And we've worked closely with AWS in the last decade or more to modernize that tech stack and eventually work with clients like ASX to then share on some of that technology and capability.
Great. John?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Hi, Mark. Hi, Tim. So my name is John Foley. I work with Fidelity Investments. That's a wealth management company servicing individuals, employers, and institutions alike. It's privately owned by families for 78 years now. We have over 77,000 employees and manage over 15 trillion in assets. Myself, I've been with the company 20 years as of this Friday the 13th. It's going to be 20
Well done.
years. So it was a scary thought that I've actually been with them for a quarter of the lifetime of the company. Most of my time has been with the market data group, where we have a ticker plant processing all the real-time and streaming quotes and trades, historical content, news, social market sentiment, and disseminating that to our clients and to our business partners. I've had a range of roles there, from starting as infrastructure, as a developer, product management, and at the time when we migrated our ticker plant to the cloud, I was heading up the site reliability engineering function, which is what we're going to probably talk about today. I think the cloud.
Great.
Right?
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. And Tim?
And yeah, Tim Whiteley, so Chief Information Officer at Australian Securities Exchange.
I'm so
so been at the exchange for a couple of years. The exchange runs, is basically a top to bottom. So we have 2 trading venues, 3 clearing, services. So it's you know, it's big for Australia, but it's small in the greater scheme of things as well. But we'll talk about it later. But we've got a big program of work around our technology, and that's quite all-consuming at the moment for us.
Great, thank you. Okay, let's dive in. Let's get a couple questions going because I think there's some interesting stuff. So I kind of broke it up in a little bit of how did it all start for each of you? And then we'll get into a little bit about, I want to see your future, like where you think things are going. And I want to kind of wrap it up with like, what are some of the learnings that you had, some of the challenges maybe. So let's kick off with here's my first one. What was the defining moment or impetus for you to start leaning in on AWS? So let's start, and we'll just stay in the same order.
Yeah. You know, it probably started like this for a lot of different organizations. And for NASDAQ, you know, it was curious engineers more than a decade ago getting their credit card out to experiment with this thing called the cloud. We've come a long way since then. What that resulted in was the very early stages of our data platform, storing data in the cloud. And, you know, as an exchange to talk about, you know, key moments where we, you know, had real conviction, or we went back and said, this has been the right journey, was probably the beginning of COVID. You know, in Europe, we had MiFID reporting obligations. COVID hit, the exchange volumes, you know, doubled, and our servers were running on-prem. And they were running all the way through to Sunday night trying to catch up from the week. And we were faced with maybe not being able to provide reports to clients or to bill. And that's not a good position to be in. And, you know, we at that time had a great data platform in the US, but we hadn't yet exported that to Europe, to our exchanges there. And everybody realized it was just very plain and obvious that, you know, having that type of infrastructure isn't a nice to have, it's actually critical, and it's for the resiliency and to make sure you can keep serving the market. So, you know, we started small, started curious. We've been building and developing ever since, and that was probably one moment where everybody in the company realized, hey, we need to accelerate this modernization. We need to get moving. And, you know, every aspect of NASDAQ today is focused on modern technology and how the cloud can power that.
Great, great, thank you. John.
Yeah, so I think our journey probably started as early back as 2006, 2007, when we had a market data ticker plant that was on-prem, and we're trying to handle the ever-increasing traffic that's going on from the exchanges. So there were new computer models being brought in, the high-frequency traders that were driving up all the quotes, and every week we're adding more servers. The next week those servers are out of capacity. I'm not sure, there might be a few high-frequency traders here today that owe me an apology for a few nights' sleep, maybe from 2006. But it was clear then that the capacity and volumes for market data, it couldn't scale within on-prem. So we migrated some of our services like news as early as 2015, but I think, just like you were saying, Mark, it was really around COVID 2020. So we migrated our ticker plant in the summer of 2020. When COVID had hit in March, we had to pull back a little bit from where we were to mitigate for the risk with the volatility in the market, and it was difficult. Our systems were reaching saturation. We were getting new market highs every day. Once we got into the cloud in the summer, we really realized the benefit very quickly, that as we approached the upcoming election, we sensed to be more volatility. So we doubled our resilience and we doubled our footprint in just a few weeks by going from a two-region model to a multi-zone, multi-regional model. We did that previously on-prem, and it was a multi-year effort. Then when the COVID vaccine was announced, we beat our previous record by over 50%. And then again in January of 21, there was a retail meme trading spike that drove trading up significantly, and that's where we really made a competitive advantage, because a lot of our competitors weren't able to handle the increase in volume, and we were able to grow our customer base significantly in 1 week, largely based off of the social market sentiment because of our stability and our resilience through this unprecedented volume. So just once we got in, it all snowballed pretty quickly. So it was just right at the time. Yeah.
And I assume you're all okay with all the tariff trades that became the news spike after the meme stock spike. It seems like things actually were able to.
Well, you know, it's interesting because like that, the record we set in 21 held. It held for years. And then when the tariffs were announced on the 7th, we hit a new record on Monday. Tuesday beat all of the records, trading, quotes, streaming. Tuesday beat Monday. Wednesday beat Tuesday. It was one day after the other. It just it's funny market data. You get these spikes, it goes calm, and then it comes again in a storm.
Well done. Glad to hear it. And Tim, thank you.
Yeah, so I guess the turning point for me was the first day I got to the ASX, and they said, okay, well, not just do we have to replace one of our big clearing systems, but all 5 of the core systems need to be pretty much renewed over the next 3 to 4 years. And I looked at the problem and thought, wow, if we just replace the systems as is, I'm pretty much going to finish up with a bit of a shiny new legacy. So spent a bit of time working out how we would, have a platform strategy underpinning the system so we get ourselves in a better situation. Obviously, a key part of that is a data platform, not just in an operational, in an analytical sense, but also in an operational sense. How can we use the data platform as an architecture that supports the core systems, but actually lets us innovate outside the systems? And so that was the driver of our work. We're looking at some work around the hosting as well, a couple of the back office systems, but it's really a lot of focus on the data platform and what that'll enable us to do outside of the core.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Okay, so that's how it all started, which is fantastic. Thank you. Let's get into, so I want to get a little bit of put your fortune teller hat on. And we all know that the markets have been a little bit volatile as of recent. And I think there's probably going to be some changes into how people access the markets, maybe some of the data patterns or people are consuming the data. So what do you think your firm and you guys are planning for? If you think about over the next 3 to 5 years, where do you think and where do you think the organization's going to go? And how do you think cloud could potentially help you guys? So again, we'll go down the line here, Mark.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we've positioned ourselves for a number of years to be at the leading edge of cloud technology for the industries that we serve, and capital markets specifically. All of our products are cloud ready. And where we are now is working with AWS, and Magnus Hagland spoke this morning about the blueprint. It's really taking it to the next level where we're combining the AWS infrastructure, footprint and scale with our product, obviously optimizing the two together and offering more choice to clients. So whether that be, ultra low latency trading systems, clearing systems, data platform, whatever it might be, that is, something that we're really focused on providing. And AWS is a great partner in doing that. And on the data platform, it's, just to, maybe add to what Tim mentioned, we see the same thing around innovation. And it sort of goes back to, we talked about resiliency of the cloud and how it provides, the ability to handle high volumes and busy days. But the other part of it is that it compresses your time to market to innovate. And it allows you to try things that, maybe are risky, right? But you don't want to sink a bunch of capital into it. But if you have a great data platform, you can innovate on top of that. And what we've seen with both our clients and internally is that when you can democratize access to a data platform and provide great tooling around that, then you don't even need to sort of stimulate use of that and innovation. It just occurs within the organization. So, that's what we're excited about. And thinking 5 years ahead, it would be great if NASDAQ could get that data platform in the hands of exchanges across the planet so that they can help to promote their exchange, try to get more liquidity on exchange, share with the world, you can come invest here and have a great experience, and then also let their, organizations innovate. So that's a lot of our focus.
Love it. Love the democratization of data and the interconnectivity that you're talking about. Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just such interesting times I think we're living in now. Like Byron earlier was talking about like the AI and where it's taking us. You know, when Tesla was developing their self-driving, I thought it was all of taxi drivers and truck drivers and machinery operators that were going to be out of work, and then ChatGPT came out, and I realized it's my job that's gone, and delivering Amazon packages to myself is the only job left for me, and it's coming in so fast, and it's coming in so wide, you know, like that. It's not just writing code, it's writing documentations, it's writing test code, it's suggesting code to you, it's refactoring legacy code onto new platforms, it's chatbots, it's customer service, it's personalization, it's automation, it's FinOps, it's DevOps, it's SRE. It's in every facet of technology. AI is coming in hard, and it's coming in fast, and it's going to be a disruptor. So where does that play in market data? You know, like it's our job in market data is to provide insights to our clients so that they can make decisions that make them profitable. So it's about looking at all of that data and finding insights in there that can help them get the edge. And that's where I think the futures be is AI struggles when the data sets are large. It struggles when there's a lot of parameters that come in.
Yep.
So you really need cloud, and you need a lot of compute power if you're going to bring together the real-time trading activity that's going on, marriage that with the historical trends and trades and the news and the social media sentiments that's out there and what's going on in the world news, and bring all that together and be able to provide insights to our customers so that they can take actions that nobody else has seen. You're going to need a lot of compute power, and the ability in the cloud to be able to scale up, perform your calculations, come back with an answer, and then scale back down is going to be a key I see over the next 3-5 years, is how we add value to the data we're already providing. Yeah.
For the asset managers and the retail investors. Awesome. Thank you. And Tim?
Yeah, so we've had a great week in New York, and you know, sitting listening to all of the opportunities and you know, where all the initiatives and the innovations are going to be. I went back to my architecture picture in my head again, and I go, oh wow, I need to really think, at least to help the company move forward, think about taking that platform concept and take the data platform, put it at the top of the stack, and go, actually, that's going to be the business, right? The matching engines, which we've really focused on, are the clearing systems, but actually they're just the commodity, right? Now they're important commodity, we're not a business without them, but you know, and that took me back to I spent a lot of time in banking, so banking already sort of got there, that, you know, all the experience and the customers are driven off the data. And so I think while data's been critical, it's really been an element of how the business works, but now it's going to really drive the overall sort of transformation in the experience. There's so much data, and the ability to leverage the data to produce better outcomes is really what, you know, where it's going. AI is any number of the AI discussions we've had. It's just about, well, we just need to get our data ready, because who knows exactly what's going to pan out. But if you don't have the, if you don't have the architecture, you don't have the capability to do it, then you're going to get behind on others. And so that's why we're focused on our plan. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, as an ex-data guy, I'm glad to hear everything that you just said, because I tend to agree. So that's fantastic. So we're gonna wrap up with just one more question, and I think everyone likes to learn a little bit about your journey. We've done that, but like, what were some of the things you learned? What were some of the learning moments? What are some things maybe you would teach the audience and say, these are some things that maybe I would do different? I think about it as, how do you manage the tension between all the things you need to do from a regulatory compliance perspective with all the innovation that you want to drive forward? Because all three of you, and I'm so glad you're all here because you're all driving innovation in the industry. What is that trade-off, and what does it look like, and what are some of the things that you would want the audience to know, or areas that you might do different? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. What I would share, we recently launched the NASDAQ Clips intelligence platform, and it was really, the point of that product was to help clients, not dissimilar to how Tim talks, right? They're looking at their exchange, their clearinghouse, their CSD. They're saying, I need a more modern data platform. I need a data strategy. Data is going to drive my modernization. Data will be at the center of my modernization. So they get to that point, they understand that. Then they need to execute, and they need to actually deliver. And that is very, very challenging. It sounds easy to some, but it's very hard to do. And it's very hard to acquire and retain the talent to do that. AWS has amazing products and continues to modernize and improve those so that they're easier and easier to use. But in an exchange environment, it's pretty hard to get that right. And we know that because we had to get it right. And it took us a little while to do that. So threading all of that together and packaging that up into something where you can say to a client, look, I know what you're trying to achieve. I can help you de-risk getting there, and I can help you with the operational sort of hang-ups and undifferentiated heavy lift of you actually getting to that place. So what I've learned is that most folks know what to do. They know where they want to go, but they really need a lot of help and support to get there. And it's not always that you can just, spin up some AWS services and you're good, right? That'll work in a small, narrow sort of POC, but working that at scale day after day can be challenging.
Right.
Now, not everyone needs that hand-holding, and there's different degrees of within that. But I would say that's been a lesson for us is seeing that across the planet, that type of need. And that ties into the regulator because, how do you get a regulator comfortable with a national exchange going, to the public cloud?
Right.
And particularly if it's in a region that is not, the same nation state. You need to, again, share with them why it's a great idea and why everybody should feel comfortable.
Why it's safe, why it's secure, why it's resilient, all those issues. Thank you. Great insights. John.
Yeah, so I think it was an interesting for the Fidelity Market Data ticker plant going live in the cloud. It was a pretty novel experience both for AWS and for us. There weren't a lot of financial firms at the time that had a real ticker plant in cloud, and it was a model which brought new challenges, I think, both for AWS and for us, because there's AWS said, well, we have the Super Bowl model, advertisements, and people start to click, but it's not like a market data. Like a market data open is a very solitary event. It's 9:29 and 59 seconds. It's all quiet, and then 9:30 the casino opens, and it's a tsunami of data where you're pushing tens of millions of updates per second across hundreds of thousands of connections out to consumers in the internet. So it's a very it's a very intense thing to move with, and I think the partnership was really key there of having AWS come in. We did like the OEM process where we have specialists from Amazon that understand their infrastructure, understand their architecture, or our metrics and our alarms, and then when we're going live with new products or new parts, that they're on the phone with us, that they're communicating with the network teams and able to give us real-time feedback instead of having it escalate. And then similarly, we did mixtape. I think it's IDR it's called now, where they understand the architecture infrastructure. They helped us build out anomaly detection alarms, and then when those alarms trigger, you're straight on a chime bridge. They've got the network team. You don't have to, the usual case of you're troubleshooting an issue and then you escalate and then you have to explain to somebody what your situation is and what your infrastructure is, that they're able to hit the ground running with you. And that was really key as we went live, is having that partnership so that you don't lose minutes when alarms trigger. But I think just one other lesson is you need to refactor an application going into cloud. That was the thing we really learned, is you can't like lift a monolithic application, put it in the cloud and expect it to work. You're going to end up with a lot of other issues that you didn't have on-prem when you do that. You need to break it into the services. You need to protect those services. If they're hitting saturation, they need to reject or throttle. You need to scale. You need to have safe modes, bulkhead, critical services from the others, circuit breakers, implement all of these failure modes. And I know Keith here will be talking about that later as well, and in another session. and then having the alarms, you know, like if your health checks are too sensitive, they can start tearing down your entire infrastructure because you have a little bit of latency in the environment. If they're not making sure that your containers are in a good health, you can send good traffic after bad. So it's a completely different compute paradigm. And when you take the time to refactor your applications into the cloud, it takes the effort at the start, but it really pays dividends once you do it. Yeah.
Good call out, because we know a lot of people do want to just move to the cloud for the reasons of scalability, but once you get into refactoring, that's when you can actually see that optimization and the performance that you want. So that's thank you. That's a good learning. And Tim?
So around learnings, something else we did this week, we spent some time with the guys at Anthropic. And I was a bit out there for me to understand all where they're going, and that was, but what it really brought home was the amount of change management. And I'm not a great change management advocate, but the amount of change management we're going to need in the organization, especially like an exchange, to get the thinking of more what's possible. And then, so for us, you know, how are we going to do that in an exchange which has all the rules and regulatory overheads and oversight and the like? So really, once again, sticking to my plan around the data platforms, really get to where we can have the two-speed change model, and really, you know, people who work in the exchange, you know, either just love the fact that everything, you know, has to be done so well and takes a long time, versus how can we have two sets of people or two people operating at two speeds and being enabled to do that. And so definitely took away the task to spend a lot more time helping the ASX on that part of the journey. And so, yeah, that's a key thing for me.
That's great. So a lot on people, process, and obviously refactoring of the technology is a big call out. So first, I just want to say, I know we're at time. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for joining me today. Insights are super valuable. Appreciate you guys coming on stage and talking about your experiences. You know, excited to continue to work with you. Thank you for partnering with AWS on everything that you're doing, and looking forward to the journey that we're going to go on together. Many of them are started a while ago, but looking forward to the next 3 to 5 years as we work together and build out those services. So let's give a round of applause to our panelists here. Thank you.